I just wanted to close it all out and just try from scratch. I don't know what that is all about. Right, you can hear me. Okay, so it's D. What? Spell your email again. DIOR. IADOR. At me.com. Child, this tech. Okay, see if you got the new one. Yes, I don't know why this audio here tripping now. It was doing just fine. Great. Build in microphone. Okay, so that's what we. Hello. Testing. Okay, I got it. Okay. Testing. Okay, I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay, here we go. I see you. I'm going to add you now. And okay, let's see. Okay, can you hear me? Oh, because I got you. It's probably because you're on my phone. Oh, I can hear you now. You can hear me? I'm gonna hang up on my phone because you're doing it on your phone. Yeah, on my phone. Let me hang up on my phone so I can get you on here. Okay. We hear. I hear something.
I see your lips, but I can't hear you.
That's so wild. Why you can't hear me? That's wild.
Yep. How about now?
Can you hear me?
No. Now I can. I can hear you now.
No. What was it, Jay?
So at the top, you have to, on the phone, you have to put, I guess it's through the Zoom link, you have to click the little speaker. And it's the speaker button on the link.
First of all, let's just go ahead and do it like this here.
Let's go on and start on.
Welcome to Showing the Fuck Up.
Hey, I'm here. I'm tired. I work from home today. I snatched my laptop, but I showed up.
You showed up.
Showed it up.
And we thank you.
No problem. Always.
Yes. And first of all, before we even introduce my lovely guest for today's episode, let's get into this canopy. What is this hammock back here?
So I read, and I read myself to sleep. It's calming. So before I actually head into my room, I sit here with my book or my mobile device, and I just read from here and swing. I have the candles here on this side, and then I'll swing it around. I have bowls set up here too. So I do,
Let me get it. Fill your cup up. Okay, fill it up. Well, let's get into it. I'm here all for it, and it's right on cue because in previous episodes we were talking about I should say later episodes because all this shit has been pre-recorded, so I'm confusing myself. But episode 2, which is already recorded, you're episode 1.
Okay.
So episode 2, we're going to get into that with our guest Ashley, talking about ways to create balance and that rhythmic flow. And so we definitely dive into that in episode 2, talking about balance and rhythm and what does that look like, and how can that look in your everyday life, and allowing that to be practical. But for today, episode 1, at the gate, we are talking about doing the work. And so I want to introduce my motherfucking friend, whom I felt like I've known for eons on eons on eons. But it's only been a year or two.
It was a year or 2 total, but I think you and I really bonded within the first 30 days of us working.
So this, listeners, was my former, I'm going to say, leader. I don't like the word boss nor manager, because you were so much more than what that means in today's society. You were a true leader at Spectrum Communications. Hello, somebody. She out here changing lives, baby. She out here. I mean, oh my Lord. Okay, let me introduce today's guest, none other than Jay Austin.
Oh.
Yes. So
thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much. I appreciate you answering the call and showing up. Because I know quarter, she called me quarter people. She called me quarter.
Because you was smaller than the quarter. You was small, man, but was worth a whole lot. Add them quarters up, that boy worth millions right here.
Don't play with it. Don't play with it. That being said, let's jump into it. So with this podcast, Showing the Fuck Up, what I did was I not only wanted to have a platform in the community that millennials, young people were able to plug into and get entertained in stories and experiences, but I wanted to also provide scientific data that helped, and that showed the biological process of us as humans, right? So we understand that we're on a spiritual experience, but we also, this mechanism of the brain and how many systems is created, and it's responsible for how we see the world and how we imagine it and how we see ourselves in it.
For sure.
And how it's shaped. And so with that being said, I'm reading a book called What Happened to Me by Oprah and this neuroscientist by the name of Bruce Perry. And so a lot of the framework is supported by Dr. Perry and his research and work in the field, specifically how childhood trauma impacts the developing brain. And so doing the work, you got to show up.
Right, you do. You have to show up, and when you show up, not only do you show out, but you come prepared. Anytime you show up anywhere, you're viewed, and just like on a podium, you have the stance, and you are in control of what's being viewed. So you bring some sort of energy to this podium, and you are, again, as you're being viewed, people are not only seeing you, they're listening, they are taking notes, they are hoping to take that advice and not only work with the advice, but mature that advice. Amen. Which means take it and they use it to the benefits, they use it to maybe not their benefits, they work it to how it's worked for them. So right. I'm loving this. Yes,
indeed. Let's get into, man, we're preaching already. Come prepared with Sean. And that reminds me, when I first started at Spectrum, I was always late. Even not even when I first started, child, it was just continuum.
You were.
I was late. And the thing is about showing up when you get ready to do the work, how imperative is to be on time for self. And what does that actually look like? And I think in a deeper context, what you gave to me during that season working at Spectrum, that it really wasn't so much of the company, it was you were representing yourself. Like you just said, when you're at that podium, so to speak, and you're showing up, you are representing you.
Right.
And this is,
And you have to ask yourself, when you are representing yourself, how do you want to be viewed? What do I want people to think of me? Because I'm on display. Everyone sees what I do. And I remember I'd always tell you, it's not my fault that you were late. And I always wanted you to look deeper into it with yourself and say, how is my day going to be productive? What is going to happen throughout the day? Why am I late? It starts from the time that you wake up and how you work out throughout the day. And not necessarily physically work out, but what your mind does, what your body does, what you think. How does this work out throughout the day? And you were late just about every day. So what type of expectations were you setting for yourself from the beginning of the day, all the way down to or the close of your day, close of shift? What are you bringing to the table? And it's something that I've always said, it's a skill versus a will, sweetheart. I can't teach you that. You have to teach yourself that will drive. So I ask that you all the time. I've always said, why are you mad at me?
Right. And you know what's the gag? The gag is this. And that was a powerful message, is to say, don't consume space if you're purposeful in somewhere else. And so, as Tabitha Brown says, if you're having a bad day, don't you dare mess up nobody else's day. Because if that's not the job you wanted, that's not your dream job, that's not where you want to be spending your time, you cannot project all of that and unpack all of that onto individuals around you.
Yes, sir.
And so that was why you were super instrumental and impactful for me, because you made me, you're very thought-provoking, and you made me self-reflect, and I'm all about growth. And
hey, say it again.
Okay.
Remember, you are about growth. I've told you that from day one. And so I got a new phrase for you where it is, I give you options and you make the decisions. So you had options. And anything with life, not just being on time, but you were given options and you make the decisions. So it's how you take these and what decision you decide to make in life with the options that are given to you.
With that being said, my first point for today's episode is starting with the question. The name of the book that I'm reading is What Happened to Me, right? And so when you talk about what you do with those options that's presented in life, and speaking to why we make the choices that we make, right? Because what happened to me is determining a lot of factors on maybe my proactiveness to show up and be mindful of my willfulness, right? Perhaps when I grew up, it was not that because I know in a lot of families, those core values are pressed upon, their children, like, hey, how you are viewed, like you're saying, how you viewed is important. So I don't know, did your mom or your dad growing up instill that within you? Did that come from a foundational, or is that something that you grew to teach yourself, or you learned along the way?
So this is a great topic, great question. Just as far as I can remember, I have been a latchkey kid, latchkey teenager, all the way up to my adulthood. And with those, if you don't know what that means that you did everything on your own as a child. And when you came home to an empty, abandoned home, and you learned.
What was the phrase?
The latchkey kid. Latchkey. Right. So you come home to an empty house. You'd come home to an empty unit, apartment, wherever it was so empty and abandoned. And most people would think, oh, my parents are at work. No, I lived with my mother at the time, or my grandmother at the time when I was a latchkey kid. My mother was on drugs and my dad lived in another state. So at the age of 5, I did everything on my own as far as getting myself ready for school. Literally a preschool, kindergarten, walking across the street, signing myself into my daycare. Yes, until I want to say about the second week or so, they started to notice that I wouldn't bring lunch. And so they started to pay closer attention. And eventually my memory doesn't serve me too well as a child. So I'm just only trying to revisit the surfaces of it that made me who I am today.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I remember so small, intimate details of the lady asking me, you know, where's your mom at? Where's your grandmother? And I said, oh, they're in the car. They're on their way to work. No, they didn't come home last night. I did everything. I washed myself up. I fed myself bowls of cereals at night before going to sleep, leading me into the teenage years. At this time now, I'm living with my father and my stepmother, and I never asked for assistance with anything because I was so used to accommodating myself that asking others for help, it was almost as if I was thinking they can't hear me. They wouldn't pay attention to me because I've never had to voice my my wants and needs. So in my head, I've always taught myself, they're too busy. They won't listen to me. They won't hear me. And I almost zoned them out. Wow. So I've never asked for anything. Then leading into my adulthood, our conversations at where we worked were so they were so strong. And I use that because it lingers in my mind. And I guess I was talking to you, hoping I was listening.
Right,
so
right.
All the advice and conversations you and I had after you walked out of my office, I'd say, why didn't anybody tell me this? Why didn't I tell myself this at this age? Why didn't anyone give me some advice? Why didn't anybody listen to me? Yeah. So now, into my adulthood, I am very lonely. I go to work, come home. I don't ask for anything. I'm never accommodated in any kind of way. I am in and out of relationships that are very short to where I don't even want to be bothered. I can go 5-6 years with no relationship, and my relationship is my job. So I've learned to just do everything on my own, but it's really damaging. But you learn to find the rhythm. Go ahead. Sorry.
So no, you're fine. And speak about, because what you're talking about is essentially how those set of circumstances, and as understood as trauma, right? How that essentially shaped your personal catalog as an adult.
So I learned growing up, I learned to utilize whatever tools I had, anything that was in front of me, I learned to make it work to where I fought myself some nights knowing that some of the things and thoughts were either, I don't want to say inappropriate because I'm a grown woman, but some of my things that I pray for and the things that I wanted, my thought process, it was almost negative energy. And I had to really use past experience, past ways of living to help me kind of narrate my current life, or not current life, but narrate my movement, just everything that I did, just the way I think at work, the way I think at home, the way I think outside of the two. It's almost like I have to combine everything into one for my energy, for me being able to accept who I am today, what I was in the past. So I guess just combining all 3 levels of my childhood, meaning, from a baby to out to a kid, to a teen, to an adult. And I don't see, it's sad because it's almost like I don't see a difference. I can't see, when you graduate school, you become I don't feel like
the shift or that pivot of like how you carved out. And so that was my next question. When you talk about as an adult, those survival tactics that pushed you over into adulthood and got you through. And we talk about that. Well, Dr. Perry talked about that in the book in terms of how we are very adaptive as humans, but then we can also be maladaptive, meaning that it no longer serves you as in this space, right? Because it's really about, did you get what you needed to thrive instead of just survive, right? Because we talk about that all the time.
Right. And I can be very, very frank and say I did, but it was really hard doing it alone. It was really hard going through these chapters, not having someone to just reach out to and ask and just want some help, even if you didn't really need it, just knowing that you had
someone there.
Someone.
It's so wild to me that that's your experience, because my knowingness of your presence is that you're there for everybody. And that's typically how it goes. The people that's there for everybody, nobody is really.
Yes, because you want the reciprocation. And so you want it to just be reciprocated without you having you want people to feel like, oh my gosh, she just did that for me. I need to do it for her to her, not to someone else. I need to give that same, but I never really get that as a child. As an adult, I just started I just started seeing a bit of reciprocation from the people that I expected from, but that is only because I found my own peace. And I started to not have expectations, and I started to not want anything from anybody, and just physically, mentally, whatever. I started to not expect it anymore, because as a child, you crave for it. Even as a teen, you want it. And then when you get, as you're within your adulthood, you see, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah. If it happens, it happens. Yeah, right. So I started to let go a lot of childhood up to teenage memories. I started to let that go and say, I can't hold on to this, because it's just going to hold my emotions down. And I started to just find my inner peace. And I set my own expectations within myself, my limits. I created boundaries for what I want and what I believe in, not from what I expect others to do for me, because you can easily expect so much from someone, and then when it doesn't come, then they, this lame ass bitch is
disappointed like a motherfucker.
You get the whole disappointment. Yeah. And so I've learned to ease away from that, and reading has helped me. Work has helped me, learning to deal with people and their emotions. That has helped me. My singing bowls has helped me. My crystals has helped me. Those small things really, it gives me my sanity.
And we will talk about that in future episodes, but just a hint on it, on today's episode, it's important. And Dr. Perry refers to it as reward bucket. In the Bible, God refers to it as your cup. Let your cup be full. Let your reward bucket be full. And so what you're saying is so important, because you have to fill your own cup. And nobody is responsible for that.
And when you feel it, when you fill it up, or you fill it up to your expectations, because the cup doesn't necessarily have to be full. It needs to be to where you are satisfied as a person. So if it is full enough and it tips over by mistake or because you do it, you will not feel anger towards anyone. And in fact, you'll say, silly me, oh, dang it, oh God, and you'll get back on it and refill it. Now, let somebody else tip that cup over.
Isn't that crazy?
You expected so much from them, they let you down, then they fucking tip over your cup. How do you feel?
Empty. And you have, because of the expectation. Wow. And so what on the show, we have sprinkable moments. Oprah calls hers tweetable moments. We say sprinkable.
We gonna have an aha moment.
And so one of the sprinkable moments that Dr. Perry shares in the book is that, what we expect, that's what we project.
Mhm.
And that is the honest God truth, understanding that check your expectations. Check your expectations, because like me going to late to work, every day and expecting you
To make it all better. To make it all better.
Sidebar. Go away.
2-minute sidebar. This is a 30-second sidebar, by the way, not even 2 minutes. He get to work, go clock in, then go back to get in his car and go to sleep. I have to come knock on car door. What you do last night? What is today? He talking about, I was in your car. Then he walks inside my store and then hides behind a side wall and goes back off behind the wall. So what was I supposed to do?
Let me tell you something. It was done by the grace of God. That's why I was sent to Jay's store, listeners, because let me tell you, family, it was nothing but the grace of God, because that lady held me down, baby. She held me down and pushed me to such a degree to ask myself. And I think what I took from those moments greatly was, it was a lot of self-reflection. You were telling me, hey, instead of trying to seek outside of yourself, ask yourself and be honest with yourself where you are, so you can set yourself up for success in this development process. Because it's a development. And some days it's going to be rough, but in those rough moments, what's going to help?
Yep.
Yep.
In the rough moments, you were always working with people that cared about you. So you never really paid attention to how rough it was.
Yeah.
For that moment, when you were in my store, I zoned you out of all that.
Yep.
We laughed. We talked about everything.
It was light. And I want to say this, and this is why it's so important. The conversation of what we're talking about and what's shaping your personal catalog, because as an adult, you find yourself removing a lot of those roots from your childhood that's no longer serving you, and you have to lay new ones down, but you have no idea where to start. And so life happens, relationships form, and that's your key, right? If you're open. And so during that season, I was laying down a lot of new roots for myself during that season. And it was so crucial of the environment, because you created an environment that was so filled with love. It was also filled with, I'm expecting the best out of you, right? The mediocrity was not an option in that environment. And that sort of family and community that you created and culture that you created in that store, it allowed for one to grow. It allowed for one to wake up physically and spiritually, okay? And realize and say, okay, if this is not the space you desire, what are you gonna do to help you usher you into this space that you do? And not only that, most importantly, what you taught me was, while you're here, what are you doing with it? While you're here? And that is important to even get to where you're trying to go, because how you respond to where you are right now in life, because that's the access point. The access point is you yourself. Right. Showing up, being present, being conscious, and saying, I'm gonna make the best of this moment right here. I'm not living in the past, not hanging on to what may happen in the future, but right here, right now, am I open enough to be present? Yep. So the second, okay, so we the first point was, what happened to me as we moved from that space onto the second point, which we've already covered. A lot of the second point was trauma on the developing brain. And as you discussed that, as you grew up, a lot of your survival tactics, moved into your adulthood, but then you begin to create practices such as your meditation, such as your reading, such as your sound bowls, and all of those things that brings tranquility into your life, rhythm and balance into your life, to counter that that trauma, right? And create new positive experiences for yourself. For sure. Right. The third point I want to talk with is within the neural system, right, within our brain, we
Mhm.
have neural networks and also stress response systems, right?
Mhm.
And so those systems are responsible to how we're responding to the adversity, to the shit when it pops off.
Right, right.
Can you say within self, have you been able to uh, whew, navigate that for yourself in terms of your stress response systems in your response? Um,
No, no, because just to back up to the segment two, the second segment, the question two, um, I'm still human. I can have these best practices and I can use them 15,000 times a day, but my heart still wants what it wants. My heart still knows and feels what it should. I can cover it, but at the end of the day, sweetheart, do I still wish that I had, do I still wish I could redo my childhood?
right,
Yeah.
right, right.
So I have all of these things that help me cope. And moving to question three, I use it to my best ability, but there are some days that I wonder if what I'm doing is healthy. I wonder if, well, I'm grown. So, you make these decisions and you hope for the best, so I wonder if, by me playing my soundbar, is it really a mental thing? Am I just thinking that it's supposed to make me,
Right, right, right.
or does the vibration from these bowls really make me feel different? So there are some days where I lash out. There are some days where I feel like shit don't work.
Right.
But do I give up? Do I come back? And yeah, it's a mental thing some days. Some days you need the mental and some days you need the fucking physical.
Amen.
So and I hope and pray that I'm never out in public because I'm always on a pedestal. You leave your house, you leave the four corners of your walls, you're on a pedestal. You always got to remember you're always on view. When I leave out my front door, I always pray to God, like, don't let me say something, do something, hear something, feel something that will make me backlash or have just a triggering moment from my childhood. Because again, we're living through a pandemic right now. People, loved ones are dying. You can get a phone call any minute, and it can be your favorite auntie who used to come and rescue me when I didn't have anything to eat when I was 5. So those type of things, I have to really make myself. I walk out and I just pray. I pray that nothing triggers that age bracket. Nothing triggers that.
Yeah. So speaking on that, that's real interesting that you say that, because that's a part of my next question. Because when building new foundations and new frameworks, that helps and gives support and healthy support to these systems and to your response systems, is understanding these triggers, understanding these associations, and knowing, what these associations are causing. An arousal response, meaning a rapid feel, that comes from a reactive standpoint. And it's important to know those things too. So like you're saying, as you navigate out there, when you leave your sanctuary, you're covered. You're
Mhm,
covered.
mhm.
You're covered in the knowingness of, I'm not what my mother could have said to me as a 3-year-old. So when that lady at the bank makes a comment similar to what my mama said,
Right. I'm not gonna cheat.
I'm not gonna fuck up.
Right. I'm not gonna try to hop behind the plexiglass and whoop that ass. So that's
jumping behind the plexiglass to whoop that ass.
right. We're not gonna do that because we cope with what we have and how we feel, and use.
Yeah, Dr. Perry, he puts it in adaptation, coping, adaptation. So we adapt, and so when understanding your stress response systems and how to build a healthier rhythmic foundation for yourself, understanding that we are adaptive creatures. We, like I said earlier, we have maladaptation too. And so being mindful of those malpractices that's not serving in a healthy way, right? And so perhaps growing up as a kid, you were taught to wear your feelings on your sleeve. So someone said something like me, baby, I can't hide a facial expression to save my life.
No, you can't. I know you can't. Oh my. Yeah. But
So,
I in passing, you have, so the heart and the mind, the heart and the brain, the mind, they hate each other. Within our bodies, they hate each other. Your mind gives you so many options, and your mind plays tricks on your mind. Tell you to do this. You got the devil, and you got the angel.
Right.
So your mind is telling you, let's go kick this bitch door down. I know where she lives, so let's go kick her door. But your heart is saying, oh my God, do you really want
to do that?
My just won't allow me. Or it can be something even, more responding to, I guess, love life. Your mind is telling you, I don't want to be with him. He's abusive. I don't want to be with him. But your heart is saying, but I love him.
And in the battle of that, and we talk about the heart, and the heart is that pumping,
yes,
so connecting, and it's connecting to the memories. And so that's why it's so important to really reckon with that childhood trauma, because understanding that the value that you carry as an adult, it could just be carried over from how you were nurtured as a child. And so
for example, my mother, she drinks. She, drinkers never call themselves alcoholics, but you are your mother's child, and you know what's up, right?
Right.
I've never had a drink before, and I am 37. Never had liquor. I've never had wine. Couldn't tell you what beer tastes like. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never had weed. I've never had anything pressed close to my lips, not even the mother's penis. However, there are some days from a stressful work day or just a stressful day in general, the mind is telling you, oh my God, I need to drink. But my heart is saying, I can't end up like her because she drinks. I can't end up with, or, maybe my mom smokes cigarettes. I can't end up smoking because what if cancer comes? What if this? I see this. So it keeps me away from that. So the mind will want you to do so much to release so much pressure, but then your heart is saying, look at this before you do. Take a step back and think about what drinking has done to your mother, what crack has done to your mother. So the gateway of weed, the gateway of all that is what? Cigarette and weed. Don't go smoke no blunt, because your mother was on crack for 10 years, Jay. So don't even put nothing close to your lips like that. So the heart and the mind and the brain and the,
but you know what? And that's a segue into, and for me, that's just evident that you spent a lot of time with yourself to get to know self. And I think that is what is crucial, especially in today's world, is that people are afraid to sit with themselves and understanding. And that's how you build frameworks that support you. And that's what you're saying. Your cup doesn't have to be, quote unquote, overflowing and full, as long as it supports you.
Right.
And gets you the support that you need in order to navigate and get better and be better. And you spent enough time with you knowing that, okay, I need boundaries. And that's another topic that we discuss on future episodes is creating boundaries and what that looks like for yourself to create healthy ways of creating rhythm and balance for yourself. My God. I knew it would be good. And so basically what you're saying in terms of those memories or associations that served you as an adult to steer away from those generational problems that was,
curses. It
Yeah.
made me where the point was, I don't want kids, Quarter.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid of me picking up one of those bad habits. So I don't want kids.
And this is what the fuck showing up is all about, is that realizing the
Mhm.
impact that we're making on the child.
Mhm.
Because that child is going to grow up as an adult.
Yep. And may have a podcast with one of his homies or one of her homegirls and talk about her childhood. So
Yeah.
I don't want, and not to say to tell people, I don't want to be responsible for a child. No, I'm not even responsible enough to carry my own damn weight. You feel me? So it's like, but I'd be damned
to know
if
that, yeah.
I add a child and they are treated any way that they are not because of me,
Yeah.
and because of what I went through, and them to be able to relate to something that I went through, that would devastate me. So I don't want children because I don't want to make the mistake of them being a latchkey kid.
Yeah. But you know, the beautiful thing is, though, and I know, and I hear you loud and clear, but the beautiful thing is, because you have and are doing the work,
Mm-hmm.
that story will be completely different.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of your babies. You got many spiritual babies.
Honey, I got you. I got Jan. I got the
okay.
I make sure like we good, but you didn't come out my vagina.
Yeah, right. But you got to go back to your mama house.
Right, so I detach real quick. But however, I still, I just want the best, just not for you, but for everyone. And to know that someone did not want that for me once upon a time, it's torment. It's hard.
Because and that's why, again, that was impactful and imprinted that, damn, was I not enough, right? And that's why the question is, that's why it's a great space to start from what happened to me instead of what's wrong with me, because nothing's wrong with you. That was just choices. You're going back to options and choices. That was just choices that your caregivers made that didn't benefit you, that didn't value you. That's not who you are. But that's a part of doing the work and understanding that and saying, I understand that now, and so I give it to myself, and I'm intentional about my experiences with others, that they know that they're seen, that they're heard, that they're valued, that they're respected, all those things that you do. And so that's why this work is so valuable to me, and I want to explore this with brilliant minds like yourself, that is able to drop these gems in such digestible ways. So we're moving. We're, as the pastors say, we're about to get ready to land. Yes. So our third point, hallelujah. Our third point, understanding the process. And that's simply referring to the process in which how the neural system is working. And simply putting it, the information that travels to us comes and starts at the brainstem, which is the lower part of our brain, which is not the complex part, which is the cortex. So meaning that brainstem is where we react and we feel. So a lot of times we see this playing out in our everyday lives, that people get stuck at the brainstem. And that's why moments is happening where people fighting at the stoves and shit is going haywire, because it's all stopping there. Instead of allowing, like you saying, before you walk out your house and you pray to the Lord, Lord, help me not to be reactive. In that, God helps you to, if somebody says something that's kind of left field, he helps you process and say, let that information go through, right? Travel from that brainstem up to your cortex, so you can then have a more thoughtful response. Because now you're starting to think about, okay, what if that was their aunt that passed? Maybe they went through something. Maybe, and so that's how those responses come about, because you allow that information to travel from the bottom of the brain to the top of the brain.
So, and I call that, I do not take the elevator anywhere. I take the steps, because I need to know step by step what I will be facing, how to deal with something when
I'm gonna take that. You gotta bring that back, because that's the gem that I got to hear that one more again. You don't take the elevator, but you take the stairs because of what?
Steps, because I need to feel the process in order to learn something and know something, more so understanding it. You have to walk through it, because one of my biggest, like the thing that I hate the most is when you lose a loved one or something, you know, you get in a car accident, anything, whatever. Somebody says, it'll be okay. Bitch, you think I don't want to hear it's gonna be, you don't know what I'm going through. You're not in my, like, however, there's some that may have known that. Some, you know, not, but that's the one thing I hearing, you'll be okay. You don't know how I'll be. But in order for me to understand what that means and what they meant by, I literally take the steps. I've taken the steps throughout my life. I've taken the steps, whether it be love life, career, friendship, I take the steps to where I have to go in life versus taking an elevator. You take the elevator, you cheat. You take the steps, you sweat. You understand. You learn that, hey, if there's a missing step, I know that I can't act as if it's there because I'll hurt myself. So I need to step a little higher. You learn throughout the process how to deal with and how to cope. So that way, not only when you make it to the top, you can teach somebody else
how to make it.
Reflection of, right. Instead of saying, get on there and push number 2, you hear, what fun is that? What fair is that? Because like the saying is, what you could teach a fish how to swim, but whatever that.
Or you could feed a man for a day. You could teach him how to fish, and
there we go,
for a lifetime.
So you and I walk these steps, and we gonna make it successful throughout whatever journey we're gonna do. And I guarantee you, when somebody else has that same movement, you know what to do.
Amen. And that's why understanding the process is important, and beautifully said. Let's do a recap of today's episode for the listeners, for the family. Doing the work. Point number 1, we talked about what happened to me, starting there as an access point versus what's wrong with me, right? And that's the access point to your healing, to building positive and healthy rhythmic lifestyles. Point number 2, how that trauma that you faced in your childhood, how that impacted your developing brain and your choices of how you live today as an adult. And from there, excavating, removing those roots that's no longer serving you from your childhood and placing new ones down. If that be creating, space for your spiritual practice, if that be reading your favorite book, if that be eating ice cream, you're creating new moments, new experiences that have new meaning, that have more profound meaning for you. And that supports, I love what you says, not necessarily don't focus on your cup being full, but if it supports you. I love that. And moving on to our third point was the system that's within this neural network and the stress response systems that are responsible for our responses to our life as it plays out, and understanding what your stress responses is made up of, as we talked about, associations, triggers, memories, your sensory input and output, if it's a smell that of your dad's cologne or whatever the case is, identifying those moments and times so you can make connections as you build new foundations for yourself and build a better and best version of yourself, and understanding your connections, your relationships. And thirdly, we just discussed understanding the process and how important going through the process actually is, and understanding each step, because knowing that helps you navigate for yourself versus taking the elevator and
elevator.
And right, all the motherfuckers say shit.
Right.
You missed the steps. Then you got to have
shit.
Amen.
So you steps.
You better count the damn steps.
Right.
And so that wraps us up. And at the end of each episode, we like to have sprinkable moments. And here are a few that you can take with you as you move along your week. The first one is, I can build a new neural path. And that is liberation for all listeners who are feeling incapable. Don't listen to that tape, that story that could have played out in your childhood. Know that you are capable of building new neural paths, but it's going to involve you doing the work. It's going to involve you showing the fuck up on time.
Hello.
Okay, because you care about yourself. That's why you're showing up on time.
Because you are important. You on a pedestal. Yeah, you're being seen. You
are being. Yep. Amen. When children don't, and this is Oprah. This is a quote from Oprah from the book What Happened to Me, and she says, "When children don't feel respected by the decisions of their parents, their belief about how they're valued get crushed." So think about that for yourself, and understanding why your belief or value system is operating the way it is currently. And I'm sure it correlates with how your caregivers, the decisions that they made in regards to you. So understanding that their choices don't define you, your choices today define you. So,
wow.
That is, yes. Yeah. Baby, it's plush, just like that robe, honey. Just give you
this is, by the way, Kim Kardashian, you can pay. This is the Skims.
Baby, hold on. Yes.
It's the one I've worn for the last couple of days. I come home right in it. I look like I'm about 250 pounds, but I'm really. He caught me on a bad day. I love him. So I stop what I'm doing because this is a true friend who's always been there to make me laugh, vice versa, and so much more.
Yes, I love it. And we take a sponsorship. So who that rolled by?
This is by Kim Kardashian.
Kim K is Skim.
Skims.
Kim K, love you. We love y'all, and we want all the sponsorships of showing the fuck up. So can y'all show the fuck up and give us some sponsorships? Kim K and Skims. Yes, honey. And the next Sprinkable moment we got is neural networks are bountiful with within the neural system, and understanding that they're responsible for many things and outcomes of your life, and they're responsible for your self-worth, for example, for your value. And so understanding that as you move about your day-to-day, that this is a system that you're moving. And so while we focus on our spiritual, understanding the system would help be in alignment with your spiritual. And so therefore you have a oneness, and you can move in that sound truth and foundation of yourself. The next one is the mind is always working to preserve our world. So basically the mind is always working to preserve your own personal catalog. It's always hanging on to how you see the world, because that's what brings you value. That's what gives you identity. And so keeping that in mind, that your mind is always working to preserve that. And so be intentional about how you create that for yourself, and how you create those experiences for yourself as an adult. So be intentional about that, because your mind is craving to preserve those moments, to carry you through and to navigate you through. So what you feed it, it will feed you. And amen. With that being said, that's all of our Sprinkable moments. I want to thank you, Jay.
Always.
And it's been a lovely, lovely discussion, per usual, never fails. And I want to say, I appreciate you. I thank you.
You're welcome.
I just look forward to what's to come for you, because who knows?
Call me next time.
Look, you may have a little baby. You may have a little baby.
I was able to put my eyelashes on, honey. They were sitting right here. At first, I couldn't find them. You got to let me know so I can put them on to be ready.
First of all, you know what? I think you're right, Jay. You gotta put your eyelashes before you have a baby. You ain't got your eyelashes.
I got to make the motherfucking nigga right before he can't just come and see some light-skinned bald-headed girl, some boy. Or no, I look like the little yellow emojis on the.
You are beautiful inside and out.
But I'm so happy to do this. Please call anytime that you need. I love having these talks, and I hope that your listeners really take heed of everything that was said, and take in, whether or not you don't take notes, just walk away with that moment and understand that these are true conversations and people really live these experiences, and the feedback it's worth it, because you go through the same thing we go through. And if you were the listener, like, you're not the only one who's walked in these steps. So the feedback, the listening, just give whatever it is, anything that you hear on this show, try it. Try it. Just listen and accept it. But love yourself, love life, and treat your good.
You say treat what good?
Treat your brain good, because
so that is it. That is, Sam, treat your brain good.
Yeah, you got to treat your brain good. We try and keep our bodies in fit. Like, you have to nourish your brain. And when I say treat the brain good, because it helps you think, it does. That's why reading is important. That's why just listening to people, the way what they say, how they talk, the sound of their voice, the advice that they give, all that is food for thought. And if you keep the brain moving and you feed the brain, then you grow, not just your body, but your mind grows.
It physically grows. And that's biologically proven. It physically grows because of those direct impacts. And absolutely. And I like to think that the brain is the eye to the soul. And it feeds your soul. So whenever you feed it, it's feeding your soul. And that's what's really governing you. So on that note, I appreciate you, love, and have a fantastic evening.
Likewise, dear.
Yes.
Listen, call me again.
Will do. Of course you're gonna be another guest. On episode 202, we're gonna claim it. Okay.
That's too far away. We barely on one. We better than that. I need to be maybe 12. I need to be I want to be. I'm proud of you, but shit, I want to have a little bit of recognition.
Camera time. Little camera time. Period.
I love talking to you. So you have a good night. Keep in touch. I'm sure we'll text a couple of minutes now or whatnot. But thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
You are fabulous, and I will talk to you later.
Thank you. Talk with you soon. Bye, Jay.